And here we are yet again in the almost the last week of the course, the fourth week of the course. We will have one more final video blog just as this next Friday as well. But I would say that perhaps this video blog that we do now might be the most important one of all of them. So it's nice that so many of you are actually following us live at the moment, because if there are any questions that needs to be arised, now is a good time to actually clarify those questions. So please ask questions in the live lecture questions channel on Discord, and we will be monitoring that at all time while we speak now. So the last week is next week, and we have seen so many fantastic showcases of projects already shared in the server, and I would say that it's been so fun to follow along, and we have a team of fantastic teaching assistants. So I'm just saying it out loud now that without them, it would have been much worse. But the thing here is that they have done a great job. And yeah, I'm also saying that, I mean, we do pay them, yes, but they are working more than we actually pay them for, because they have a passion for what they are doing and they think it's fun. And I think that applies for all of us. There is actually not a single person in this course that is getting sort of more hours than they are putting into the course. So kudos to everyone that is part of the course. It's so fun to be part of this, and I hope that you agree. Okay, let's go to some details. And this week I've outlined a little bit more, I would say, wordy document. I just wanted everything to be very clear. This document, which I'm showing now, you are also able to get access to if you just check in the course announcements. I've put a link to the HackMD document, which is the weekly video blog document for the course. So everything you can also find in this document. Yes, let's start with the project presentations. And first, and I think this is the most important part, you need to sign up. You need to sign up for a slot. There is a link. You can find the same link, which I'm pointing at here, on the Canvas landing page. You can also find it under important links in the Discord server. And obviously, you see the link now in this document. I've made this text very small by purpose, because I didn't want to flash the names on a YouTube public server. So hopefully, you are not able to see the names. But the thing here is that you put your name in actually in a time slot, any time between the morning or after the noon. So and on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we will have so to say the basic presentations, and on Thursday it will be the higher grade presentations. We will utilize the same Zoom link for all week. So it will be the same link for all presentations. And the link is found also in the document. But this is important. And I can see that there are a couple of people actually within this document at the moment. So please do that. And yeah, Arslan Neda, you will be leading all the sessions.
Yes.
Nice news.
Yeah. And I can see in this file that you showed, many students signed up for Wednesday, and there are many slots empty for Monday and Tuesday. So if any student wants to move there, he's welcome or she's welcome, because there are many students.
Yeah. And yeah, and also David, Hamed, and Joachim, they will also be joining in to help with timekeeping, well, keeping track of all the different sessions and such. And I guess that the thing here, we haven't done this kind of operation before. Last 3 years, we have had only presentations for the higher grade projects, and everyone else has just been handed in the report. This year we are doing presentations for everyone, and so yeah, be prepared that maybe Monday session will be a first try, and there, you never know, but there might be slight changes in how we structure this. But I think this plan will work. um, but that's the general plan for the presentations. So sign up. That is super important. If you don't sign up this week, you won't be getting a grade. It's that simple. Obviously, there will be retakes, but those will be in August and not like the next week or so, because after the final week of the course, people will go on vacation. And so that was, yeah, I at least mentioned that we are doing this in a format that is a little bit new for us. So just bear with us and try to be flexible and try to have a positive attitude, and it will be fun. And also, we are going to use Zoom for the presentations. That means that if you haven't installed the Zoom application on your computer, might be a good idea to start by doing that. Check if things works before. And also a proper setup. By that, I mean that you will need a webcam. If you don't have a webcam, that is actually quite strange if you don't have a webcam, because everyone has a webcam. If you don't have a webcam, well, that's a thing that you might want to take care of before next week, because we want you to be both seen and heard during the presentations. And if you're just a little bit unsure about how Zoom works, or if you haven't used it before, which is also very strange, but if that is the case, yeah, what you could do, you could actually set up a Zoom meeting and invite someone in this Discord server and just try things out if you want to try it with someone else. Just put out a Zoom link and ask someone to join in. And why I'm mentioning this is that we're doing these things on scale now. Like, we don't have time to fiddle around with technology. So you need to be prepared. We don't have time to wait for someone to get their microphone working or webcam working when we start. If that happens, we might just skip you, and then you have to join another session, if that is possible. So I'm just saying this because I want everything to be smooth next week. So please, if you know that you're not confident in using Zoom, take some time during the next couple of days and explore how that works. We will be using the breakout rooms for this. And this is something that I want to emphasize. Having presentations in front of other people is not fun if you can't see the people that you're talking to. So I would like every single one of you that are joining in for these sessions to have your webcam on all the time. And this is not because I personally want to see you. It's out of respect for the people that are doing presentations. because there is nothing worse than having a presentation in front of 12 or in this case we are doing about 12 in each session, about 11 black boxes with just names. It's not fair, it won't be fun, and it's disrespectful. So to show respect for the other people, please have your webcam on for the whole session. So please sit in an environment where you feel confident that you can spend 3 hours watching presentations and also be shown. So, and we won't be sharing these sessions. They are not public in any way. So we are a very close group of people just sharing our presentations for each other. And it will be about 12 people in each room. So no worries. You don't need to be a presentation expert in any way. But I think that I've been clear enough on this because I've seen this so many times when we are working with students and other people that it's pretty nice to just not have your webcam on. And as a presenter, as a teacher, or if you're presenting someone, you really don't want to sit and watch these black boxes. You want to see other people. Okay. Also, I want to say that even though it's not your presentation slot, everyone is encouraged to just drop in anytime and listen. So it's free for everyone to drop in at any time during these presentations and listen in. That's not a problem at all. And actually, I do encourage it. It's more fun. So you're not required to do any other, listen to any other presentations than what's within your time slot. But if you're interested, if you want to join in, if you want to show support, you're very much encouraged to do that as well. Yes, I got a question. Could you post a Zoom link now so that we can verify that it works? Yes, we can. Not at this very now, because we are now in this session, but we can do that right after this live stream has ended. We can actually put up a Zoom link and everyone could join in and just check it if things works. So we'll do that. And then we go to the presentation slots. When you sign up for a presentation, it's a 3-hour slot. So either you sign up in before lunch or after lunch, generally for Monday to Wednesday, and you are required to be there for the full session. So consider this as a sort of an exam. It's part of your project to actually show up. So you can't just drop in, do your presentation, and then just drop out. Then actually that wouldn't count. We don't accept pre-recorded videos. We want also you to be in part of this session. So yeah, more or less it. Consider it as like something that you need to do to pass, to be there. And there will be, when this session starts, everyone will be gathered in the Zoom room, and there will be like some general things that maybe Neda and Arslan want to emphasize on. And then it will actually be a randomized session list. So even if you happen to be on the top row in the document that we have now on the sign up page, it doesn't mean that you will be first out. So we will randomize the order of presentations for each session. So when the session starts, actually no one will know the order of presentations. That we will randomize more or less when we break into breakout rooms. One thing that we also want you to do, and obviously this it's not a problem if you are there all the time, but we will share a document. All those details which I'm talking about now will also be said during the presentation. And it will, I would say most likely, actually, it could be any kind of tool, but I guess it will be a Google document that will be distributed as a link when you start. And then each and every one of you will have to write just a small comment on all the other students' presentations. It could be great work. So nice to see that you built this temperature sensor. Oh, nice graph. Or it could be a question. Why did you do like that? Well, or how did you utilize that MQTT? Whatever. But what I'm after is that you should write something that you have written. And it's also it's a way for us when we scale these things to actually be able to see that each and every one has been in the session. So this will be, I would say, easy, but just a small comment, and it will be a comment, and it will be a shared document that everyone can write in during the session. And I don't require more than just a simple sentence, but something that is from you for each and every presentation. So I would say that what you need to do is that you will need to write at least 11 sentences during this 3 hour. Like you need to write something on each and every one, and that you do during the presentations. And it could be a very simple thing. Nice presentation, well done. That could be it, but something you need to write. Okay, and we won't grade these. So I'm just saying that it's not that we're grading the feedback, but we need you to at least write something about everyone. Okay, and then timing is everything. Keep your presentations short. We have accommodated 10 minutes. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So think 8 minutes.
Yes, for presentation, they have 7 minutes and we have 3 minutes to ask question or they can answer. But for the Thursday, that is for higher graded, they have 15 minutes. That's 10 to 12 is for presentation and 3 minutes for us for asking question.
Yeah. So keep less than 10 minutes. That 10 minutes is including questions. And obviously there will be breaks and like such during the way, but try to keep it condensed. That's more or less what I'm saying. And so people will help you keeping the time. So someone will raise that alarm that, oh, time's up. But if you're aware of it, put your phone on the table and just a stopwatch or something, and it might help you keeping that. And it's fine if you do it in 5 minutes as well. It's not that we're, you can do a short presentation. Maybe not less than 5 would be very short, but 5 to 7 minutes. And about the format, I know that Joachim, one of the teaching assistants, did a really nice video also answering some questions about the structure and format of the presentations. But the thing here is that you don't necessarily need to do a PowerPoint or a slide deck. I guess that many will do because it's a good tool to help you while you do your presentation. So please do a PowerPoint if you want to. It's absolutely fine. But what I'm also saying is that you don't necessarily need to do it. You could also, if that feels better for you, put up your report, share the screen, and then you scroll through your report and you talk. That is also a way to present. What I do want you to do, and like show what you have done. So if you have some wires, LEDs, something is buzzing, or you have a push button, or you want to show your dashboard that you have built displaying the data, please do. And talking about screen sharing, this is part of the like Zoom thing. if you want to share your screen, good to try it out before, so you're not fiddling around too much when we actually do have the presentations. So make sure that you're confident in what you're doing before. And last thing about like the presentations, the basic presentations, is that, and we've already seen a lot of some comments about this, and I know that people are asking that if it is not possible with the proposed times, you might be working full time all the days, and daytime might not work out for you. Let us know. And yeah, we do already know that some of you have this problem, but we will accommodate more sessions for you. So it will most likely, on which day do we think it will be, Neda Arslan? Take an evening time?
Yes. Yeah. I think in the evening we can have it after 4, if it works, for 5 p.m.
Yeah.
If someone has problem for the work time, I think it will be until 5. So
Yeah,
we can take the presentation after that.
Yeah. So we will, after this afternoon, we will actually update the document which we have now. So those of you that that can't spend daytime for the presentations will be able to do that. And if the slots are filled, and if you see that, okay, this evening presentation is already filled up, let us know, and we might extend it. I don't want anyone to end up not being able to do the presentation just because because it doesn't work for you. We will try to accommodate that for you.
Yeah,
We
7 out of 24 we are here. No worries.
But also I'm saying that don't take that evening time just because you think it's nice. But like, we try to give those spots for people that actually need them. So, but we will be as flexible as possible to try to accommodate this, and we will put up more options already this afternoon. Okay, and then the higher grade presentations end of week, as you mentioned, Neda, they are getting slightly more time. We are talking about 15 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
And generally, we do expect a little bit more of the high grade presentations. So think of it as like, if you have 15 minutes, you're doing a high grade. We are also, for the basic projects, you are more or less required just to do a presentation. You won't actually get a higher or lower grade if you do a good or maybe not as good presentation, as long as you fulfill doing your presentation, show yourself, and that we can see that you have done the project, it will be fine. But for the higher grade presentations, yes, we will actually look at the presentation and consider that as a part of your project. That means that if you're like on the verge of like an AB, that you might actually have a possibility to bump your grade if you do a really fantastic and creative presentation. So I'm just saying that these are a little bit more required of. And to give some advice on this, I know it's really hard when we give you all the freedom, because sometimes as a student, you want to know, just tell me exactly how I'm going to do. I want to have my grade. and then I might say, well, be creative. And you might think that, oh, well, that didn't help me too much. I just wanted to know exactly how I was going to do. But yeah, to give you some examples, like if you are just doing a PowerPoint presentation, if you're just scrolling through your HackMD report, if you're showing your gadget device, IT device, it's fine, even for the higher grade presentations. Totally, not a problem. and then there might be like some added complexity to these projects and such. But I'm saying that try to make them entertaining. Try to think about the people in the other end. And they are not formal. So the thing here is that you're actually free to go outside the boundaries. We have had people during the last years that have walking around in a barn, showing off their, like, I think it was some kind of IT solution for monitoring the hens in a barn. And he was walking around with his phone, talking in the phone and showing and pushing buttons, and there were LEDs flashing. And that was a great presentation. So you don't necessarily need to sit in front of the computer. I'm just saying you can be more creative than that. We have had robo vacuum cleaners moving around and showcased them. So you can get away with just showing what you have done in a fun way. So there are no like formal requirements of that you need to have a background, you need to have an introduction, you need to have a conclusion. It's not that kind of presentation. Try to make them fun and engaging. That is like, and also, I think we had a music demonstration. I think some year ago we had some guy that built this guitar, connected guitar or something. And if I do remember correctly, he played the guitar. So it was, yeah. So it could be, yeah. I'm just saying it out loud that try to make them fun, try to make them engaging.
But whenever they need to have a good connection. I mean, the internet, in just case that we can hear and see the presentation.
That's totally correct. So please make sure that you are on a good enough internet connection so you don't drop out or you can't be heard. But that's part of the preparation part before you do the presentation. And this is all live. So yeah. I think that might answer a lot of the questions about presentations. If there are any like details or whatever, feel free to tag any of us in the Discord server or the TAs, and you can get feedback anytime. And we will obviously answer. Yes, and then let's go. That was the presentations, and then also next week, because there are a lot of things happening next week, as you've seen. So the course has been quite packed with lectures and workshops, especially workshops. And I guess that most of you have been struggling, some more and some less, with hardware. And yeah, and you will also need to hand in your report. And that, just to show you, I mean, if you haven't seen the report template, it's a good time that you actually do that. But this is linked in the I talked about this the last video blog, but it's also linked in the Canvas homepage. But more or less, this is the structure of your report. So please try to keep that structure because it will make things easier for the people that are doing the peer review on you. But you can also extend it, and you can also be creative. But the structure is there to help to keep sort of a standardized format in the course. Otherwise, the grading process would be quite messy, I think.
Sorry, it was about a tutorial on how to make temperature and humidity sensor dashboard. This one?
Yeah, this is just an example. But you can see that in this tutorial, there are some things that you need to have. What you could do is, I think I said it last week, and I can also say it again, that this document, what you see here, is a markdown document. So if you take the link that you have up here, and then you just edit in the end, you will get the raw markdown source code. you could take this one. It's just jumping around, but if you take this one, copy paste into your own tutorial report, then you get the structure for
Yes.
free. You can just copy it. Or you could look at this one and write it yourself. But make sure that you answer these questions, because when you are doing the peer review on another student, this is the rubrics or the format that you will be giving a point-based review system to the other students. So when you read another student's report, you will check, have they answered somewhere under objective why they chose the project? If they haven't, you will actually give 0 points. That box will not be fulfilled. And if the student hasn't answered what purpose does it serve, well, that will also be needed to be answered. So these questions are like checkboxes. So look at this, and then you write with your own words why you chose the project, write what purpose does it serve, and what insights you think it will give. Make it easy for someone else to grade it for you. Each and every one of these checkboxes, so to say, obviously you remove the checkboxes in your report. This is just for a clarification that we actually want you to cover these parts. But make sure that you cover them. So this is like a checklist for you when you write your report. Have you done all these things? And yeah, there are some explanations here. And I can say that we have, with very few changes, used the same report structure for the 3 previous years. And it has worked very well. And you're free to actually write with your own words, expand it, but just try to keep note on these questions. Some of them are marked with, actually there is an PyCom device here. I know that you're not using it. I was too lazy to actually replace it, but this is just an example, so to say. It's just an example. Yeah, there are some questions that have a star. It's also explained in the report, like in this tutorial, but these are like the higher grade projects. They need to elaborate a little bit more on different parts. And if you haven't done it, check this video. I did made a recording, and I know it says 2021 here. Don't worry, it is still relevant. Check this video. I do have a walkthrough on exactly all the things that I've already said. So check this video. Make sure that you're following the report structure, which we call the tutorial template. And then you hand it in as a link in Canvas later on. But this is also covered in the information. So I hope this will be clear enough. But peer reviews are required. And that will happen. So you hand in your report on Tuesday. I think it's midnight that we have as the deadline, if I do remember correctly. But on Tuesday, you hand in your report. Essentially, when you're handing in your report, you're just dropping a link. That's it. Make sure that that link is viewable for someone else. That means you need to share it. You need to press the share button here. And you need to make sure that everyone has read permission. If you don't do that, well, you will very soon know, because the first thing that will happen is that someone will say that I can't access your document. Mm. And that is unnecessary. So just make sure it works. And one advice I can give you is that try to put that link in a new incognito window in your web browser. So open an incognito, well, incognito browsing mode is good for many things. If you want to not have your search history or whatever, if you want to check out things that might not be, well, let's keep that discussion off for this time. But incognito browsing is also really good if you want to try out, like, does this link work for anyone else that doesn't have, that isn't logged in? So please use the incognito mode. Just trying out your link before you submit it. And there is a question here, how do you recommend to check the amount of characters in HackMD? Is there a way to do that? No, actually, not sure about if you can, in an easy way, check the amount of characters. Maybe you need to copy paste and use some other software. If someone knows, let everyone know. But also, the number of characters, it's a soft limit. No one will actually count the number of characters in your report. So if you're over this, it will be fine. It's more like a guideline. And why we do have that guideline is that just to keep the reports to at least some kind of maximum, because otherwise we don't want to end up with a lot of text for others to read. It will be, so try to keep it condensed. So the number of characters, see that as a guideline of a maximum amount rather than a hard limit. And if you want to count the characters, I actually don't exactly know if you can do it in HackMD, but copy paste into a Word document or any other kind of tool, and then you will be able to do it. But to emphasize on this, the peer reviews are required. You need to do presentations, you need to hand in your report, you need to do peer reviews. The peer reviews are very straightforward. I can't really, in a good way, show you exactly how it is done because you can't access that until I actually open the peer reviews. But essentially, actually last year, there was one student that made a screen recording when they logged in and opened up for peer reviews. So if someone of you are open for making a screen recording when you log in and do the peer reviews to show that, it would be wonderful. Just let me know. Some of you might jump on this directly. But essentially, when you do your peer reviews, the system will randomize 3 other students' reports. So when you log in and then you click this peer review button, they will be assigned to you. So there will, somewhere in Canvas, you will see that something has been assigned to you. You go in, you have a rubric. So the exact same questions like checkboxes that we do have in the IoT tutorial, they will also be shown in the peer review section. And essentially, you are giving a 1 or a 0 for if they have fulfilled all these, like, have they written a title? Yes, they have written a title. That's 1 point. Have they written their name? Yes, they have. And that's 1 point. Those are very easy. Yeah, thank you, Fredrik. The length is shown in the bottom right corner of the editing window. Thank you. Then we have the answer to that. It was very obvious. Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm just saying that the peer reviews are required. And it won't take much time of your hands. So the peer reviews, I'm sure you will be able to make them in less than an hour. So it won't take much time. Essentially, you reading 3 other students' reports. But if you don't do them, you won't get a grade when the course ends. It's that simple. So you have a couple of things that you need to do next week. And as I said, there are essentially just like a checklist. I'm sure it will be very straightforward when we get to that point. And I think that in the planning now, I think we say that the peer reviews open up at directly after deadline for submissions, but in practical terms, it means that it will be on Wednesday morning. I guess that no one will sit up until 12 o'clock and press that button, because that is actually a manual thing that we need to do. So expect Wednesday morning, then you will be able to start the peer reviews, even though it says 12 o'clock in the planning. So now you know. Okay, and also when we do the peer reviews, the point of doing peer reviews is not to grade other students. It's actually a help for everyone to get to a better report. That's the whole part of it. So let's say that you open up another student's project report, and you see that they have missed a lot of things, and you say that, okay, this is not good. You might be something missing that you think should be there. Don't just press 0, 0, 0, 0 and give them a bad sort of point. Reach out to them. It should be obvious who it is, because their name should be written on the report. You should be able to find them in the Discord server, and you are also able to send messages at Canvas as well, if you want to be sure that but reach out to them and say that, oh, I'm doing your peer review, and I see that you're missing these questions. Maybe you want to fix them. And then they might do that. And then you just hold on that peer review for them a little bit. And a couple of hours later, they might have done it. And then you give them the points that they hopefully deserve. So interact with each other. It's not like it's not about you being, oh, I need to be super objective and this is an exam. It's you helping others out. And as you probably understand, when we are grading and doing this thing with links, that we are actually not submitting a text to Canvas. You're submitting a link. And that link, you can edit it anytime you want. That essentially means that you can work on your project and make it better, extend it, and so during the whole week. So take this opportunity. Obviously, you need to hand it in, and it should be done more or less on Tuesday evening. Otherwise, the peer review process will be broken. If people haven't done the reports, then, well, not good. So, also, I want to say something that I think is needed to say when you do the peer reviews, because when you actually press submit, that you have, like, you're doing a peer review in Canvas, and then you press submit, you can't change it. So you can't go back and change. So be a little bit aware of that don't be too quick on pressing submit. Just check it over. We have seen many times that people are actually, they might have pressed the wrong button and pressed submit before actually filling in the full checklist. And then the review might end up as a very crappy review. It is possible to unlock them, but it needs to be done by a teacher, and we need to manually go in and 3 steps into the system and try to find that and then unlock it. So it's doable. If you happen to do that, please let us know. But I'm just saying, we all save time if you just are a little bit sure that you're ready to submit the peer review. And it's a small button when you do this. This will be very clear when we end up at actual peer review in Canvas. I'm sure of it. That was about the link is either for HackMD or GitHub. Yes, that was a question from the Discord server. Yes, the link is either for HackMD or GitHub. So a public link, and I'm stressing that fact, it needs to be publicly accessible. Otherwise, other people won't be able to read your report. So please make sure that it's shared. So if you do this on GitHub, well, it needs to be a public repository, not a private repository. If you do it in HackMD, please make sure that you're actually sharing the document so everyone can read that link. And also, use the incognito window if you want to check that out. I always do that when I share a link. I always try. If you haven't done the quizzes by now, please do them. It's time. It's really time. So please try to do them. This is something that wouldn't take too much time. Yes. And also, I'm mentioning this. Hopefully, this won't be an issue for anyone, but might be. And if it is, then you know why. We did an activity check just in the beginning of this week. And if you haven't been active on either Discord, that is like if you haven't gotten a role, or if you haven't been active on Canvas, that is doing a quiz. If you haven't done a single quiz, or if you haven't been onboarded on Canvas, you have been kicked out from the system. And from the system, I mean Ladoc. If that has happened and you think that was not right, send an email to the email that is seen here, Anki Lektorp. She is a student administrator, and explain the situation, and it will be fixed. So it won't be like a dead end. She's aware that it might have happened for some individuals. If that has happened, reach out to her and just say your story, and it will be fixed. Yes. And actually,
we have a question here. Amanda's asked how to see if you have passed or not passed the quiz.
Yes. If you have passed the quiz, that means that you need to have more than 60% correct answers. And I guess that you will see that as a percentage of you getting the right answers. I'm actually not sure because I haven't seen the student view from doing a quiz. So if someone that is watching this could help me out here, is this obvious or not when you do the quizzes? Just write and we will know. But 60% is the required
of the pass.
Yeah, exactly.
But another question is that the link, I don't know what he means by link. The link is for either HackMD or GitHub.
Yes, that is the link that you submit to the system. And next week, I'm saying this because so you don't end up, the result is shown after the submitted quiz. It shows the amount of correct answered questions. Yes, so, well, you need 60% or more of correct answers. That will mean a pass. But yeah, exactly. You don't see the percentage. However, we do see the amount of correct answers. Okay, if this is unclear, I actually need to check because we might actually, yeah, if you have gotten, for instance, in that. Exactly. You can see the number of questions in the quiz, and then you do a little bit of math, and if you're over 60%, that will be fine. I will be traveling next week, so I will actually miss out on most of the presentations. I will try to join, but something I want to encourage, especially for the high grade presentations, please add a video. I know that is already in the IT tutorial, that if you go for the high grade tutorial, we also want you to add some kind of video in the report. It's not a substitution for a presentation. just to say you need to do the presentation, but please add a video in your final report. So just embed a YouTube link or some other link to some kind of video service, and in your report, showcasing whatever you want to showcase, because it will be at least a way for me to be able to see some of the fantastic projects in a more interactive way, and also for the after world, like other people, and especially the high grade projects, we will put them in the Hall of Fame, the good projects. And if you do, I can also mention that if you want to be in the good projects list that we do have, it's, well, the list that you can see if you log into Canvas. There is a link for previous year's projects. If you want to be showcased there, even though you haven't gone for a high grade, just tell us and we can add you. And vice versa. If you are aiming for a high grade, but don't want to be in that list, just tell us and we'll fix it. So it's up to you, essentially. But it's actually a good way of showing what you've done. So I think this is fun when we do it like this. I can also, I just made a very short IoT bot. I would like to get some feedback if this works or not, because I'm just trying things out. So you are actually able to chat with Ellie, which is our virtual teaching assistant in the course. And Ellie should know a lot about this actual course, because she has gotten documentation. There is an embedded database, a vector database, with it should be all the relevant course material. It should also contain tutorials, which is shown in the roadmap and such. And just to say that Ellie is powered by GPT-4. So when we talk about the quality of answers, you could expect that Ellie would give much higher quality answers than you would get by the free version of ChatGPT or any equivalent service. This is obviously also costing us money. The GPT-4 API is not free. So I'm just saying that please use it. Please try it out. I do want feedback on this, if it works or not. Is it useful? Is Ellie going crazy and doing things that it shouldn't? Whatever. But also just be aware, don't maybe spam the bots, like, because every request actually is costing money for, in this case, the university. So just to say, please use it, but and also as much as you like, but you don't need to overuse it with whatever you have in mind.
This Ellie is trained on IoT related, this course related.
Actually, it's not trained. It's not the fine-tuned model of GPT-4. It's the core model is ChatGPT version 4. And then it has a database which is linked to it with relevant material from the course. So if you go in and ask ChatGPT, like if you go into ChatGPT service and ask about the applied IoT course, it won't say too much about the details in the course, because how could it know? In this case, it should be able to do that. So let's try how to write my report, and let's see what it answer. Exactly, it's actually giving a quite good answer. And this is something that you can see, that you see that it doesn't go that fast when it's writing now. It's actually a little bit slower, and that is an indication that we are actually using GPT-4. So in all chat services, when you see the answer just flying, like it goes really quick, it's most likely a GPT 3.5 model, because that's much quicker. GPT-4 is not as quick. And it actually, remember to write in English, reflect on your project. Actually, and if you look at this, I'm actually quite confident that it has fetched this information now from the project IoT tutorial, because it seems to be very relevant for actually what I asked for. And it also handed me a link for more guidance on writing. We checked out the good examples from the course 2020. Actually, that was a little bit wrong, because it's also 2021 and 2022. But and I've actually asked this bot in the I did some prompt engineering. Let's see how it works. But it should actually try to make fun of especially me. So you might see that it tries to make fun of the course administrator, more or less. So if don't be surprised if you get some witty jokes about me, it's per design. Yeah, that's about it for the last week of the almost last week of the course. We will also meet yet again in the end of next week, obviously. Then we will try to sum things up. But we have a very interesting week ahead of us. A lot of things will happen, and it will be really, really fun to see how everything plays out.
Yes, let's see what kind of projects.
Yeah, and I will emphasize on 10 minutes time frame. Please keep that in mind and show your project. That is also very important.
Yeah.
Frederick, I asked this Ellie, funny, to make fun of course administrator, and she said, "Oh, Frederick Elgran, you mean the guy who would rather climb Mount Everest than check his email?"
Yeah. You see, it AI probably has at least some slight humor, I guess. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. So in that case, have a really nice weekend, everyone, and make sure to, whatever I have said, we have said during this video blog, make sure to try to reflect on it and prepare for next week. A lot of things are happening next week, and you are part of making this a success.
Yes, and best of luck for everyone.
Yes.
Okay. See you soon.
Bye-bye.